The Pursuit of Supranational Sovereignty by Geraldo Menegatti. In the twilight of a world divided, where borders once drawn with the sharpness of swords now blur under the glow of a digital dawn, there exists a notion, both provocative and profound. It whispers of a future not carved into the fractious tapestry of nations, but woven seamlessly by the hands of an intellectual elite and world bankers, custodians of a supranational sovereignty. This vision, bold in its essence, suggests a departure from the tumultuous seas of national autodetermination that have, for centuries, been the crucible of human endeavor and conflict. It imagines a world where decisions transcend the immediacy of local passions, where the collective wisdom of those who navigate the currents of global finance and the deep rivers of knowledge can offer a steadier course. In this world, the barriers that separate people are not dismantled, but rather redefined. The sovereignty of this new realm does not rest on the power of armies or the borders drawn by politics, but on the unassailable fortresses of intellect and the fluid, ever-expanding boundaries of innovation and insight. Yet, as with all visions of the future, it is a tapestry interwoven with threads of hope and strands of concern. The promise of a more unified, peaceful world glimmers on the horizon, but the shadows of inequality and disenfranchisement loom large. The challenge, then, is to ensure that this supranational sovereignty does not become a new oligarchy, aloof and unaccountable, but a truly inclusive governance, where the wealth of knowledge and the fruits of progress are shared by all. In this dream of tomorrow, the questions that confront us are as old as time and as new as the technologies that propel us forward. How do we balance the scales of power and ensure that the voices of the many are not drowned out by the influence of the few? How do we harness the incredible potential of our interconnected world while safeguarding the individual's right to self-determination, culture, and identity? The answer, perhaps, lies not in the rejection of national identities or the abdication of self-governance to an elite few, but in the careful, conscious cultivation of a global society that values diversity, seeks equity, and fosters cooperation. A world where the sovereignty of intellect and finance serves not to govern, but to guide, not to dictate, but to democratize. In the end, the supranational sovereignty of an intellectual elite and world bankers, if it is to be truly preferable to the tumultuous history of national autodetermination, must be rooted in the principles of transparency, inclusivity, and the unwavering commitment to the betterment of all humanity. Only then can we hope to navigate the complex currents of the 21st century and emerge into a future that reflects the best of what we can achieve together. As the conversation around the concept of supranational sovereignty evolves, it becomes increasingly clear that the path forward is fraught with both promise and peril. The allure of a world governed by the enlightened decisions of an intellectual elite and world bankers speaks to a yearning for order amidst chaos, for harmony in place of conflict. Yet, it also raises profound questions about the nature of power, the essence of democracy, and the fundamental rights of individuals and communities. The vision of supranational sovereignty suggests a world where the complex challenges that transcend borders, climate change, pandemics, economic inequality, and technological disruption can be addressed more effectively through unified, informed action. It imagines a global community led not by the whims of populist sentiment or the narrow interests of nation-states, but by reasoned debate, scientific evidence, and economic insight. Here, the collective intellect serves as the compass guiding humanity towards sustainable development, peace, and prosperity. However, this vision is not without its shadows. The concentration of power, even in the hands of the well-intentioned, risks creating a disconnect between the governors and the governed. The very notion of an elite ruling over the global commons can be antithetical to the democratic ideals of participation, representation, and accountability. The challenge, then, is to reimagine the mechanisms of global governance in a way that bridges this divide, ensuring that the supranational sovereignty of the intellectual and financial elite is counterbalanced by robust frameworks for democratic engagement and oversight. In this reimagined world, technology plays a pivotal role, not just as a tool for economic and social innovation, but as a means to democratize participation in the global dialogue. Digital platforms can enable more inclusive forums for discussion, decision making, and consensus building, allowing voices from all corners of the world to contribute to the shaping of global policies and priorities. The goal is to create a participatory supranational governance where decisions are not made for the people, but with the people, leveraging the collective intelligence of the global population. Moreover, the ethical dimensions of supranational sovereignty cannot be overlooked. The pursuit of global governance must be underpinned by a commitment to human rights, social justice, and the equitable distribution of resources and opportunities. It requires a vigilant guard against the potential for exploitation, ensuring that the global economy serves not just the interests of a privileged few, but the well-being of all humanity. This entails a radical rethinking of economic models, prioritizing sustainability, resilience, and the common good over short-term gains and profit maximization. In the final analysis, the concept of supranational sovereignty of an intellectual elite and world bankers, while compelling, demands a nuanced approach. It calls for a delicate balancing act between the benefits of centralized, informed decision-making and the imperative of maintaining democratic principles and individual freedoms. The path forward is not one of replacing national autodetermination with an unaccountable global elite, but rather of weaving together the diverse threads of humanity into a more cohesive, fair, and sustainable global tapestry. This vision of the future is not predetermined. It is a choice, a collective endeavor that requires wisdom, compassion, and courage. It challenges us to rethink our notions of sovereignty, community, and responsibility, urging us to imagine a world where the boundaries that divide us are transcended by the shared aspirations that unite us. In this quest, the ultimate sovereignty lies not in the hands of the few, but in the collective will of humanity to forge a future that reflects our highest ideals and aspirations. This exploration into the idea of a supranational sovereignty led by an intellectual elite and world bankers ventures into uncharted territories of global governance, questioning not only the structures of power, but also the very foundations upon which they should be built. As we delve deeper, the dialogue expands to encompass the mechanisms by which such a governance model could manifest its principles of equity, sustainability, and global cooperation, ensuring it becomes a force for collective advancement rather than a replication of past inequities on a grander scale. The essence of this vision lies in its attempt to transcend the historical limitations and divisiveness of nation-states, aiming instead for a form of governance that leverages global interconnectedness, shared knowledge, and financial resources to address universal challenges. This raises critical considerations about the methods of achieving such a lofty goal. How do we construct a global governance framework that not only respects but also benefits from the rich tapestry of cultural diversity, local knowledge, and community-led initiatives? One pathway might involve redefining the concept of sovereignty itself. Traditional sovereignty is closely tied to territoriality and the exclusivity of political authority. However, in a world of overlapping identities, global networks, and interdependent challenges, sovereignty could evolve to reflect a shared responsibility for the planet and its inhabitants. This would not imply the erosion of local identities or the abolition of national governments, but rather a reimagining of these entities as integral components of a broader, more dynamic system of global stewardship. Central to this reimagined sovereignty is the role of education and access to information. An informed global citizenry is the bedrock upon which the legitimacy of any form of supranational governance must rest. Education must thus be elevated as a global priority, not just in terms of literacy and numeracy, but in fostering critical thinking, empathy, and an understanding of complex global systems. The intellectual elite and world bankers in this context are not just decision makers, but also facilitators of a global educational movement that empowers individuals and communities across the world. Furthermore, the economic foundations of this new form of governance demand radical innovation. The world bankers' role transitions from mere custodians of wealth to architects of a global economic system that prioritizes sustainability, equitable growth, and the eradication of poverty. This involves not just philanthropy, but structural changes to the global economy that ensure fair trade, responsible investment, and the redistribution of resources in a manner that supports the development of all nations in harmony with the planet. However, the most formidable challenge in realizing this vision is perhaps the establishment of a global democratic ethos. Supranational governance, to be truly effective and just, must be rooted in democratic principles that go beyond the mere casting of votes. It requires the creation of participatory platforms that allow for the diverse expressions of global citizenry, mechanisms for accountability that span borders, and the protection of rights and freedoms in a manner that respects cultural diversity while upholding universal human values. In contemplating the future of supranational sovereignty, we find ourselves at the precipice of a new era in human history. The potential for a world governed by the collective wisdom of its people, guided by the insights of an intellectual elite and the strategic acumen of world bankers, offers a glimpse into a future where the challenges of the 21st century are met with unprecedented global cooperation. Yet, achieving this vision demands a reevaluation of our values, a reinvention of our institutions, and a rekindling of our shared humanity. The journey towards such a future is fraught with complexities and uncertainties. Still, it is a journey that beckons us to imagine the possibilities of what we can achieve when we harness our collective intellect, resources, and compassion. In this quest, the supranational sovereignty of an intellectual elite and world bankers is not an end in itself, but a means to forge a world that reflects our interconnectedness, our vulnerabilities, and our boundless potential for growth and transformation. As we venture further into the concept of a supranational sovereignty helmed by an intellectual elite and world bankers, it's essential to recognize the critical role of technological innovation and environmental stewardship in shaping this future governance model. The intertwining of technology and ecology in the governance fabric highlights a dual pathway towards sustainable development and inclusive prosperity, underpinning the transition to a global society that values both planetary health and human advancement. Technological innovation as a governance pillar. The acceleration of technological innovation offers unparalleled opportunities for addressing global challenges, from climate change and biodiversity loss to health crises and inequality. In this envisioned supranational governance model, technology serves as a cornerstone, enabling smarter, more efficient, and more responsive governance structures. The potential of artificial intelligence, blockchain, and the Internet of Things, among others, could be harnessed to enhance decision-making, improve transparency, and facilitate real-time engagement with global citizens. However, the embrace of technology must be tempered with vigilance. The digital divide, privacy concerns, and the risk of technocratic control are significant challenges that need addressing. Ensuring equitable access to technology, safeguarding data rights, and fostering digital literacy are imperative to prevent the creation of new forms of inequality and to ensure technology empowers rather than alienates. Environmental stewardship as a core value. The survival and flourishing of humanity are inextricably linked to the health of our planet. Thus, environmental stewardship must be a core value and objective of supranational governance. This implies not just reactive measures to mitigate environmental degradation, but proactive strategies to restore ecosystems, conserve biodiversity, and transition to a circular economy. The intellectual elite and world bankers, in this framework, must champion and invest in green technologies, renewable energy, and sustainable agriculture, setting the stage for a global economy that operates within the Earth's ecological limits. The concept of supranational sovereignty introduces the possibility of a global carbon budget, international conservation efforts that transcend borders, and a unified response to environmental emergencies. These efforts require a profound rethinking of economic success, moving away from GDP as the primary measure of prosperity to metrics that reflect ecological sustainability and human well-being, towards a new global solidarity. At the heart of the transition to supranational sovereignty is the need for a new global solidarity, a recognition that we are all passengers on the same planetary spaceship. This solidarity must be rooted in empathy, respect for diversity, and a shared commitment to the common good. It challenges us to look beyond national interests and short-term gains, to envision a future where progress is measured not by the wealth of the few, but by the well-being of the many. This vision of global governance calls for a revolutionary shift in how we conceive of sovereignty, leadership, and community. It suggests a world where power is not hoarded, but shared, where leadership is not about dominance, but stewardship, and where community extends beyond local and national boundaries to encompass all of humanity and the natural world. Navigating the path forward. The path towards this envisioned future is neither straightforward nor guaranteed. It requires bold leadership, innovative thinking, and an unwavering commitment to global cooperation. The challenges are immense, but so are the opportunities. By embracing a vision of supranational sovereignty that prioritizes technological innovation, environmental stewardship, and global solidarity, we can forge a future that honors our shared humanity and our collective responsibility to the planet. In this journey, the dialogue must remain open, inclusive, and forward-thinking, constantly adapting to new insights, challenges, and the evolving tapestry of global society. The pursuit of supranational sovereignty, guided by an intellectual elite and world bankers, is ultimately a pursuit of a more just, sustainable, and peaceful world. It is a call to action for all of humanity to rise to the occasion, to imagine beyond the confines of the present, and to build a future that reflects our highest aspirations for ourselves and generations to come. As we delve deeper into the fabric of a world governed by the supranational sovereignty of an intellectual elite and world bankers, it becomes evident that the underpinning values and systems of such a governance model must be rigorously examined and ethically grounded. This further exploration necessitates a focus on three pivotal areas: the democratization of knowledge, the redefinition of value and success, and the imperative of global empathy and cultural understanding. Democratization of knowledge. In a world where knowledge is power, the democratization of knowledge becomes a cornerstone of equitable global governance. This goes beyond mere access to information. It encompasses the critical analysis, synthesis, and application of knowledge in ways that empower individuals and communities across the globe. The role of the intellectual elite in this context is not to gatekeep knowledge, but to facilitate its flow, and to ensure that the tools for understanding and innovation are universally accessible. This democratization also involves bridging the gap between traditional wisdom and scientific knowledge, recognizing that local and indigenous knowledge systems offer invaluable insights into sustainable living and environmental stewardship. Redefining value and success. The supranational governance model challenges us to rethink our metrics of value and success. In a world intricately connected and mutually dependent, success can no longer be measured solely by economic growth or national prowess, but must account for the well-being of the global community and the health of our planet. This redefinition calls for a shift towards indicators that reflect quality of life, social equity, and ecological balance. It necessitates a move from a consumption-driven economy to one that values sustainability, from competition to collaboration, and from wealth accumulation to wealth distribution. The intellectual elite and world bankers, with their significant influence over global economic structures, are pivotal in driving this shift, advocating for policies and practices that align with these broader definitions of success. Global empathy and cultural understanding. At the heart of supranational sovereignty must lie a profound sense of global empathy and a deep appreciation for cultural diversity. The challenges and opportunities of the 21st century are shared by humanity as a whole, transcending individual nations and cultures. A governance model that encompasses the globe must therefore be rooted in an understanding and respect for the myriad ways of living, thinking, and being in the world. This requires an educational and cultural shift towards fostering global citizens who are not only knowledgeable about other cultures, but who are also empathetic towards the experiences and perspectives of others. It is through this empathy and understanding that a truly inclusive and equitable global governance can be achieved, one that celebrates diversity as a strength rather than viewing it as a barrier. Navigating the complexities. The journey towards establishing a supranational sovereignty guided by an intellectual elite and world bankers is fraught with complexities. It requires navigating the fine line between global governance and the preservation of local autonomy, between unified action and the respect for diversity. The potential for such a governance model to transform our world is immense, offering a pathway to address global challenges with a level of coordination, expertise, and foresight previously unattainable. However, this potential can only be realized if it is grounded in principles of justice, equity, and inclusivity. The dialogue surrounding this vision of global governance is ongoing and must continue to evolve. It invites contributions from all sectors of society: policymakers, academics, business leaders, activists, and citizens worldwide. As we move forward, the principles of democratization of knowledge, the redefinition of value and success, and the imperative of global empathy and cultural understanding must guide our steps. Only then can we hope to build a supranational sovereignty that not only navigates the complexities of the 21st century, but also paves the way for a future that is flourishing, sustainable, and just for all. Venturing further into the discussion of a world governed by supranational sovereignty, where the intellect of elites and the financial acumen of world bankers shape our global landscape, we confront the imperative of inclusivity and the challenge of ethical leadership. These dimensions are critical in ensuring that such a governance model does not merely replicate existing power structures, but instead fosters a truly equitable and sustainable global society. Ethical leadership at the helm. The notion of supranational sovereignty places immense responsibility on the shoulders of those deemed part of the intellectual elite and world bankers. Their decisions have the potential to affect billions of lives and the planet itself. As such, ethical leadership becomes a non-negotiable pillar of this governance model. Leaders must exhibit not just exceptional knowledge and skills, but also a profound commitment to the common good, characterized by transparency, integrity, and a sense of global stewardship. Ethical leadership also entails a willingness to listen and learn from a broad spectrum of voices, including those traditionally marginalized in global dialogues. It requires the courage to make difficult decisions that prioritize long-term sustainability and equity over short-term gains or narrow interests, fostering global inclusivity. A supranational sovereignty must inherently be inclusive, transcending the limitations of geography, nationality, and economic status. This inclusivity means recognizing and actively addressing the global imbalances in power, wealth, and opportunities. Efforts must be made to ensure that all countries, especially those in the global south, have a seat at the table, and that their concerns and aspirations are given equal weight in shaping global policies. Inclusivity also extends to the grassroots level, engaging with civil society, local communities, and individuals in a meaningful way. This engagement should not be tokenistic, but should empower these stakeholders to contribute actively to the global governance process. It involves creating mechanisms for participation that are accessible and effective, leveraging technology to bridge distances and language barriers, and ensuring that diverse perspectives are not just heard, but are influential in decision-making. Navigating ethical dilemmas. The path towards a supranational sovereignty, guided by an intellectual elite and world bankers, is fraught with ethical dilemmas. Questions arise about who gets to be part of this elite, how they are chosen, and by whom. There's the risk of creating a new global oligarchy detached from the realities of the everyday lives of most people. Thus, mechanisms for accountability, checks and balances, and the rotation of leadership are essential to prevent the consolidation of power and ensure that this governance model remains dynamic and responsive to the needs of the global population. Moreover, the pursuit of global goals must not come at the expense of local autonomy and the right of communities to shape their own futures. Finding the balance between global oversight and local self-determination will be a continuous challenge, requiring a delicate negotiation between diverse interests and visions for the future. The path forward. As we contemplate the intricacies of establishing a supranational sovereignty, it's clear that the journey is complex and filled with challenges. However, it also offers a vision of hope, a future where humanity can come together to address the pressing issues that face us all, from climate change and inequality to global health crises and beyond. The success of such a governance model hinges on its ability to embody the principles of ethical leadership, inclusivity, and a commitment to the common good. It requires a paradigm shift in how we understand power, leadership, and collaboration on a global scale. While the road ahead is uncertain, the conversation around supranational sovereignty invites us to reimagine the possibilities of what we can achieve when we work together as a global community, united by shared values and a common purpose. As we delve deeper into the prospect of a supranational sovereignty led by an intellectual elite and world bankers, it's crucial to consider the mechanisms for ensuring this governance model adapts over time to meet the evolving needs of the global community. The dynamic nature of global challenges requires a governance structure that is not only responsive but also anticipates future trends and issues. This forward-looking approach, coupled with a commitment to ethical principles and inclusivity, can help navigate the uncertainties of the 21st century and beyond. Adaptive governance frameworks. The establishment of adaptive governance frameworks is essential for a supranational sovereignty to remain relevant and effective. These frameworks should be designed to learn from past experiences, integrate new knowledge, and adjust policies and strategies in real time. Embracing a model of governance that values flexibility and resilience can ensure that global decision-making is responsive to emerging challenges and opportunities. Incorporating scientific research, technological advancements, and cultural shifts into the governance process is key to staying ahead of the curve. This requires a system of continuous feedback loops between policymakers, researchers, communities, and other stakeholders, allowing for the swift integration of new insights and the abandonment of outdated approaches. Global collaboration and conflict resolution. The notion of a supranational sovereignty inherently calls for unprecedented levels of global collaboration. This collaboration must extend beyond governments and financial institutions to include academia, the private sector, civil society, and the public. Creating platforms for dialogue and partnership across these sectors can foster innovation and drive collective action on global issues. However, with collaboration comes the potential for conflict, especially when interests diverge. Establishing effective mechanisms for conflict resolution is therefore critical. These mechanisms should prioritize mediation and consensus building, grounded in the principles of fairness and respect for diversity. They must be capable of addressing not only conflicts between nations, but also those within communities and between different sectors of society. Ensuring representation and voice. One of the greatest challenges facing a supranational sovereignty is ensuring that it truly represents and serves the global population. This requires innovative approaches to governance that amplify the voices of those often left out of global discussions, including marginalized communities, indigenous peoples, and the youth. Digital technology can play a significant role in enabling broader participation, but it must be coupled with efforts to close the digital divide and ensure that all individuals have the means to engage. Representation also means recognizing the importance of cultural diversity and local knowledge in shaping global policies. A supranational governance model should not seek to homogenize the world's cultures, but rather celebrate and incorporate the richness of this diversity into its decision-making processes. Ethical considerations and human rights. At the core of a supranational sovereignty must be a steadfast commitment to ethics and human rights. This involves not only adhering to international human rights standards, but also actively working to advance these rights globally. The intellectual elite and world bankers in their leadership roles must champion policies and initiatives that promote equality, justice, and dignity for all individuals. Addressing the ethical implications of global governance, such as privacy concerns, data protection, and the potential for surveillance, requires a transparent and accountable approach. Engaging with ethical philosophers, human rights activists, and the broader public on these issues can help ensure that the governance model upholds the highest ethical standards. Looking ahead. The path toward establishing a supranational sovereignty is complex and filled with challenges, but it also offers a unique opportunity to reimagine global governance. By prioritizing adaptive governance, global collaboration, representation, and a commitment to ethics and human rights, this model has the potential to address some of the most pressing issues facing humanity today. As we look to the future, the success of such a governance model will depend on its ability to evolve, integrate diverse perspectives, and foster a sense of global solidarity. It invites us to envision a world where collective action and shared responsibility pave the way for a more equitable, sustainable, and peaceful global society. Continuing to explore the complex tapestry of a supranational sovereignty led by an intellectual elite and world bankers, it becomes clear that the sustainability of such a governance model hinges on its ability to foster innovation, manage the global commons, and cultivate a culture of peace and cooperation. These elements are foundational in steering the global community towards a future that not only addresses current challenges, but also anticipates and mitigates future crises. Innovation for global good. The role of innovation within the context of supranational sovereignty extends beyond technological advancements. It encompasses social, economic, and political innovation, fostering new ways of thinking, governing, and interacting that are rooted in inclusivity, sustainability, and global well-being. The intellectual elite and world bankers, leveraging their resources and networks, can act as catalysts for innovation that prioritizes the global good over individual or nationalistic gains. This approach to innovation involves supporting research and development that aim at solving global challenges, such as climate change, health disparities, and economic inequality. It also means creating policies that encourage the sharing of knowledge and technology across borders, ensuring that advancements benefit all of humanity rather than deepening existing divides. Managing the global commons. The concept of the global commons, resources and spaces that are shared by all of humanity, such as the oceans, the atmosphere, and outer space, takes on new significance under a supranational governance model. Effective management of these commons requires collaborative efforts that transcend national interests, focusing on long-term sustainability and the equitable use of resources. A supranational sovereignty must establish and enforce frameworks that protect these shared resources from overexploitation and degradation. This involves not only environmental protection, but also the regulation of activities such as space exploration and deep-sea mining, ensuring that they are conducted responsibly and with consideration for future generations. Cultivating a culture of peace and cooperation. At its core, a supranational sovereignty must strive to cultivate a global culture of peace and cooperation. This requires addressing the root causes of conflict, such as poverty, inequality, and access to resources, and promoting dialogue and understanding across cultural, religious, and ideological divides. Building a culture of peace also means rethinking security in global terms, recognizing that true security cannot be achieved through military might alone, but through the advancement of human rights, social justice, and economic opportunity for all. The intellectual elite and world bankers have a critical role to play in shaping a global security paradigm that prioritizes these broader definitions of safety and well-being. Global education and cultural exchange. Education and cultural exchange are indispensable tools in building a supranational sovereignty that is inclusive, equitable, and rooted in mutual respect. A global education initiative, supported by the intellectual elite and world bankers, can facilitate access to quality education for all, promoting understanding of global issues, critical thinking, and empathy across cultural boundaries. Similarly, fostering cultural exchange programs can help break down stereotypes, build bridges between communities, and celebrate the diversity that enriches the global tapestry. These programs should not only target the youth, but also engage adults and professionals, facilitating lifelong learning and collaboration. Forward together. The journey towards a supranational sovereignty, guided by an intellectual elite and world bankers, is marked by both promise and peril. It challenges us to reimagine the structures of power and governance in a way that is more reflective of our interconnected and interdependent world. By prioritizing innovation, the management of global commons, peace, and education, This governance model can provide a framework for addressing the multifaceted challenges of the 21st century and beyond. As we move forward, it is crucial that this vision remains adaptive, inclusive, and grounded in a commitment to the common good. The ultimate success of a supranational sovereignty will not be measured by the power it wields, but by its ability to foster a global community that is more just, sustainable, and peaceful. This is a vision worth striving for, demanding the best of our collective intellect, compassion, and leadership. As we further contemplate the intricacies of a supranational sovereignty led by intellectual elites and world bankers, it's essential to recognize the imperative of balancing global governance with local empowerment. This equilibrium is crucial for ensuring that such a system remains dynamic, responsive, and most importantly, equitable. Additionally, the integration of technological advancements and ethical considerations into this governance framework can pave the way for a future that is both innovative and inclusive. Balancing global governance with local empowerment. The essence of a successful supranational sovereignty lies in its ability to balance overarching global objectives with the unique needs and aspirations of local communities. This balance ensures that while global strategies are devised to tackle broad issues like climate change, economic instability, and pandemics, they are also adaptable enough to empower local and regional actors. Effective governance at this scale requires mechanisms for local voices to influence global policies and for global resources to support local initiatives. This model could involve a decentralized approach to problem solving, where local entities are given the autonomy and resources to address issues in ways that align with their cultural, social, and environmental contexts. Such an approach not only fosters innovation from the ground up, but also ensures that global strategies are informed by a diverse array of perspectives and solutions. Leveraging technology for equitable governance. Technological advancements hold the potential to revolutionize global governance, making it more transparent, participatory, and efficient. Digital platforms can facilitate real-time communication and collaboration across continents, allowing for a more inclusive and dynamic decision-making process. Blockchain technology, for instance, offers possibilities for creating secure and transparent systems for voting, resource allocation, and the tracking of global initiatives, enhancing accountability and trust in supranational governance. However, the deployment of technology must be accompanied by rigorous ethical standards and a commitment to bridging the digital divide. Ensuring equitable access to technology and digital literacy is paramount, as is the protection of privacy and personal freedoms in an increasingly digital world. And heck, ethical considerations and global justice. The transition towards a supranational sovereignty necessitates a profound commitment to ethical governance and global justice. This commitment involves not only addressing economic inequalities and promoting social justice, but also confronting ethical dilemmas related to biotechnology, artificial intelligence, and the potential for surveillance and control. The intellectual elite and world bankers at the helm of this governance model must engage with philosophers, ethicists, and the global community to navigate these complex issues. A global ethical framework that guides decision-making can ensure that advancements in science and technology are leveraged for the betterment of all humanity, not just a privileged few. This framework must prioritize human rights, dignity, and the well-being of the planet, setting a moral compass for supranational governance. Cultivating global citizenship and solidarity. At the heart of a supranational sovereignty must lie a profound sense of global citizenship and solidarity. This ethos encourages individuals and communities to see themselves as part of a larger global community, with shared responsibilities and destinies. Cultivating this sense of global citizenship through education, cultural exchange, and media can inspire collective action on global challenges and foster a culture of empathy, understanding, and cooperation. Conclusion. The concept of a supranational sovereignty led by an intellectual elite and world bankers represents a bold reimagining of global governance. While fraught with challenges, this vision offers a pathway towards a more connected, just, and sustainable world. Achieving this vision requires a delicate balance between global coordination and local empowerment, the ethical deployment of technology, and a steadfast commitment to global justice and solidarity. As we move forward, the dialogue surrounding this model of governance must remain open and inclusive, drawing on the wisdom, experiences, and aspirations of people from all walks of life. The future of global governance is not predetermined. It is something we must collectively envision, debate, and construct, with an eye towards creating a world that reflects our shared humanity and interconnectedness. The Pursuit of Supranational Sovereignty by Geraldo Menegatti.